Hey there, everyone. It's Gigi Sober Sun. July 21st, AA Thought for the Day. If we feel the need to say something to put another member on the right track, we should try to say it with understanding and sympathy, not with a critical attitude. We should keep everything out in the open and above board. The AA program is wonderful, but we must really follow it. We must all pull together, or we'll all be sunk. We enjoy the privilege of being associated with AA, and we are entitled to its benefits. But gossip and criticism are not tolerance, and tolerance is an AA principle that is absolutely necessary to group unity. Am I truly tolerant of all my group's members? Meditation for the day. Faith can move mountains. That expression means that faith can change any situation in the field of personal relationships. If you trust Him, God shows you the way to move mountains. If you are humble enough to know that you can do little by yourself to change a situation, if you have enough faith to ask God to give you the power you need, and if you are grateful enough for the grace He gives you, you can move mountains. Situations will be changed for the better by your presence. Yeah, I've been in meetings, going back to the thought for the day, I've been in meetings where it was pretty obvious that somebody was sharing at someone else, and I didn't really acknowledge the importance of avoiding crosstalk until I went to an ACA meeting, Adult Children Anonymous, Adult Children of Alcoholics and Dysfunction meeting. And in there they say we all have a tendency to try to fix other people, and in here we focus on improving ourselves rather than other people. And we may have all the best intentions in the world, but if we're not self-aware, we are going to say things like, what you need to do is, in a crosstalk situation. In ACA, they say, we allow people to feel how they're going to feel and react how they're going to react. And I was in a meeting one time where there was a woman crying on the other side of the table, and a woman sitting next to me tossed a small pack of tissues to her. And in some situations that wouldn't be that big of a deal, but when someone is sharing really vulnerable things, tossing somebody some Kleenex is not very sensitive. Nothing says dry it up like tossing some Kleenex to somebody. So, and it's just, I know she meant well. And I know she wanted to be sympathetic. And I don't think the lady, who was crying, because when I brought it to this woman next to me after the meeting, when I brought it to her attention, she immediately thought it was important to go and say, address that she tossed her tissues. And of course the woman said she didn't. She didn't even acknowledge it or whatever. She didn't even notice it. But on a subconscious level, I'm sure she did. But of course, that's my take on all of it. You know what I mean? And it's, I think I'm way more sensitive to that type of stuff in an ACA meeting, because we're talking about childhood foundational hurts, right? And I'm always surprised that each meeting doesn't turn into a poor, pitiful me meeting, right? Like, I had it so bad kind of thing, full of self-pity and all that. But it remains positive. And I think we all focus on accepting one another in 12-step recovery, because we all know we're broken. And I think when I worked at a drug and alcohol rehab facility, the people who seemed to be the harshest toward the patients when the patient struggled or acting out or something like that were the other people in recovery. And I think, and I would find out eventually that it seemed to be the people who did not go to meetings. They were sober, but they didn't go to meetings. And they would just badmouth the patients so terribly. A lack of acceptance, a lack of tolerance. And I guess they forgot that love and tolerance is our code, is what it says in the 10th step in the big book. And it's easy to, when you think you're better than somebody else. When we think we take the moral high ground if we're judging somebody else, and it's just exactly the opposite. So I'm better off if I'm not thinking I know better than other people. And to be sensitive to other people's feelings in meetings. My old sponsor, Ken, I don't think I ever saw him get up and go to the bathroom during a meeting. He would not move. And I think, well, he did tell me that he would do things in meetings as an exercise in self-control. He told me if someone that he didn't particularly care for would start to share, he would focus in even more on what they're saying to see if there was something that he needed to hear. Because usually they said something, and this is why he did it. Because usually they said something I needed to hear, is what he said. And so the people in the rooms are God with skin on, is what I've heard. God uses them as vessels, whether they're willing, whether they acknowledge God or not. God uses other people to help us grow. And sometimes it's because of pain, and sometimes it's because of irritation with what they have to say, or their behaviors, or their constant slips, or something like that. Prayer for the day. I pray that I may have enough faith to make me really effective. I pray that I may learn to depend less on myself and more on God. And that is so bizarre, because that was the message effectively this morning at my church. To surrender to God rather than thinking all my activities and things like that are what's going to make me a better person. We can't be a better person. We have to rely on God's Spirit to lead us to righteousness. And what God did to make us clean and forgiven of all of our mistakes. And out of that flows the light that we're supposed to be in the world. So keep coming back. Love you. Look up. Aim up. Rise up.